Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Coffin. I'm here at my Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver. It is Sunday, January 28th, 2023. I'm here with Tim Moody. He's the CEO of Pan Global Resources. This is a stock I've followed for, 3 or 4 years. I'm a not inconsiderable shareholder in, and a happy one. Otherwise, Tim wouldn't be sitting here. They've had a great deal of success already. Pan Global is exploring for predominantly copper in the Iberian Pyrite Belt in Spain, which is the world's premier VMS, volcanogenic massive sulfide district. They already have one discovery, but I think there's a lot of things that could really, accelerate this story this year, and that's kind of what I want Tim to talk about. Can you give viewers a sense of, what are the catalysts going forward? I mean, you just embark on a whole bunch of exploration.
Yeah. As mentioned today, we've just approved a 20,000 metre drill program this year, fully funded. So that's going to generate a lot of news, I hope. And so again, another aggressive program this year. So some of the catalysts that we see, a very important one is the access to the western extension of La Romana, our discovery. That really opens the door to potentially, a big extension on La Romana.
Well, I think too, one thing that maybe make sure people understand is this. I mean, the Spanish system is actually, if you don't know Spain as a jurisdiction, it's actually much more, it's actually much more positive for miners than people might think if they didn't know about exploration and mining in the country. Getting access to this area, and it's basically just getting approval from the orchardist farm or whatever it is. That's something where basically an explorer like you, the access is pretty much guaranteed, but there's a process you have to go through, and that's what you're doing now.
Yeah, it's not a case of if we'll get access, it's just when.
Right.
So you have to go through a process. Unfortunately, there's a well-trodden path to get to ensure you do get access. So I think we're more optimistic now that we're on the ground there this year.
Okay.
Just how soon this year is the question, but that's a big deal for us because that could really change the scale of
well, yeah, and your presentation there, it looked like you'd enlarged that western target, I guess, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah.
It seemed a lot bigger than it was before, and what's the reason for that?
Yeah, so as you know, we're continuously sort of revising and all the information we're collecting, particularly the gravity.
Right.
We've been expanding our gravity survey all over the place, and so we've just done some more advanced processing of the gravity, 3D views, trying to take correct for topography and cover types, rock types, all of those sort of things to come up with some processing that really we think is going to help work. And what that showed was very good correlation of the gravity with the mineralisation we've intersected today.
Right.
And yet we could see the same signal off to the west, which is why we feel very confident this. That's 800 metres to a kilometre long, that target.
Yeah, and well, this isn't like a big step out either, because you guys have done drill holes like right on the boundary and at high grade. So it's not like the next step out. It's not like a 2 kilometre step out to do something there. You're just going to keep marching to the west, basically.
That's it. It's still open. It's open right to where we've drilled. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with things like tin as well, because tins look like it may be increasing in that direction as well. So we just need to follow it out. But pretty exciting. If you go from 1.2 kilometres strike length of copper minerals to 2 kilometres, that's a big deal. And
for those that don't know the company, I mean, the body that he's talking about drilling to the west of, this is Pan Global discovery called La Romana. They've already got 150 holes in it. Virtually every one of those holes has got copper mineralization. Like it's clearly going to be a resource. The other thing too is I'm going to touch on the gravity again a little bit, because massive sulfides, as the name might imply, they tend to be dense. So because they have a density contrast, one of the most useful and successful ways for exploring for those, especially in the Pyrite Belt, is gravity surveys. And you've done a lot of gravity surveying in the last year. And there's a lot of other targets on this project, Escacena. This is what the 20,000 meters is about, is testing all these other gravity targets. And it's not that every gravity target's going to be a resource, but every resource is a gravity target pretty much in the Pyrite Belt. And you've got, how many of these have you got to hit now?
We've got a dozen or so. We've put a couple of holes into 5 so far.
Right.
3 of those we'll go back to.
Right.
We've got some positive indications from the alterations, mineralisation, the sort of things you're looking for
Right.
when you're exploring for one of these deposits. So now we've got something to work with. And we're continuously generating new targets as well as we collect more and more information. Not just the gravity, but we combine that with the airborne geophysical survey we did, surface geochemistry as well that we collect. Yeah. So.
And most of these are blind, right? I mean, there's a couple of areas where here and there's a few little old workings, but most of your targets, there's no exposure whatsoever.
Yeah, that's right. That's part of the attraction of the area too,
right.
because we know the Romans weren't very good at exploring undercover. So
right.
We've got it's an ideal situation really.
So 20,000 meters. What kind of timelines are we looking at to run through a program like that?
Well, just following on from the catalyst thing. So one is the access. Secondly is news flow from all the drilling we're doing. Of course, if we hit a discovery hole on one of these new targets, then that would be a pretty important catalyst for us. And I'll come back to your question about the drilling. But another catalyst is the metallurgical test work that's underway in La Romana. So we are progressing the project, and so we should have some the test work results by the end of the quarter. So hopefully that'll further demonstrate some of the value in this.
From the core too, it looks like kind of garden variety stuff. You're not really expecting any surprises or negative ones.
Right.
Anyway.
No, it looks to be different in a good way to the other mines in the sense of what we're seeing. We haven't identified any deleterious minerals or metals in the mineralisation, and it's got some other characteristics that look pretty positive. So that metallurgical test work, for those who understand it, that's another potentially important catalyst for us. I think those are probably the three key, 3 or 4 key catalysts for us going forward. But there's going to be drilling all through the year, I expect, like we did last year.
Yeah, and you're fully funded for this 20,000 meter program, but I suppose too, I guess the idea is you keep 2 or 3 rigs running, and if you get what you consider a discovery hole, you just add rigs, or just keep the rig stays there, and you add another one to keep. You still want to get all of these things tested.
Yeah, we want to keep the methodical, somewhat systematic testing of new targets. But when we get access to the extensions of La Romana, we look to add drill rigs more likely.
Right.
Yeah, we've been drilling pretty much non-stop for 2 years.
Right.
We've got 3 rigs operating today on 3 different targets, and these are really high productivity drilling. I mean, we're getting sort of 60 to 80 meters a day per rig.
Right.
Yeah. So. A lot of core coming out. Of course, if we do hit on any of these, we'll try and add more rigs or accelerate those accordingly.
Okay. It's a great story. Pan Global trades PGZ on the venture, and I think it's PGNRF in the U.S.
That's great.
Great exploration story. Very, very strong technical team. They already have a discovery. La Romana is a not insignificant sized body of copper mineralization already. There's room to make it bigger. There's, like Tim said, 12 other targets that are very similar to La Romana no one's ever drilled before. So there's tons of room for discovery. And like I think any copper explorer, developer, anyone who's looked at the copper market is expecting very, very good things. One of the other CEOs I invited sort of mentioned, I expect to see new all-time highs for copper this year. That's quite possible, and it's got room to go from there. And obviously, the stronger copper gets, the more people are going to be looking for, who's the next one in line, because there's just not that many copper development companies with good-looking projects out there. They're pretty few and far between, and Pan Global is definitely one of them. New discovery, tier one jurisdiction, funded to keep drilling, great management team. Story you really want to be paying attention to. Thanks for coming by, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
Okay.